My sister stood up in the middle of Christmas dinner and told everyone I wasn't real family. She didn't whisper it. She didn't pull me aside. She clinked her wine glass with a fork and announced it to the entire room like a toast. "I just want to say something I've been holding in for years," Lauren said, laughing lightly. "It's Christmas, right? Time for honesty." The room went quiet. She looked straight at me. "I think it's funny how some people sit at this table pretending they're real family, when they're not." Forks froze midair. My mother whispered her name. My father stared at his plate. No one defended me. Lauren shrugged. "I mean, come on. Blood is blood. Some people were just added later." Every eye in the room landed on me. I didn't speak. I didn't move. That's when Grandma Eleanor slowly pushed her chair back. What my sister didn't know was that Grandma had been waiting years for her to say that out loud. If you've ever been quietly underestimated, stay with me. The silence after Lauren's words didn't feel empty. It felt full. Heavy. Like the air had turned solid and no one could move through it. I sat with my hands in my lap. I didn't look up. I didn't need to. I could feel the stares pressing against my skin like thumbs. Someone cleared their throat. Uncle David shifted in his chair. Aunt Monica reached for her water glass but didn't drink. My mother said, "Lauren," again. Softer this time. Almost apologetic. But not to me. Lauren laughed. A short, nervous sound that tried to pass as casual. "What?" "I'm just saying what everyone's been thinking." No one corrected her. My father kept his eyes on the ham. He cut another slice even though his plate was already full. The knife scraped against the ceramic. Once. Twice. 3 times. I counted each one. My cousin Emma looked at me, then looked away fast. Her boyfriend stared at his phone. Grandma's old dining table, the one that had held 20 Christmases before this one, suddenly felt like a courtroom. And I was on trial for something I couldn't change. Lauren sat back down. She picked up her fork like nothing had happened. Like she hadn't just turned the entire evening into a referendum on whether I belonged. I noticed things I'd never noticed before. The way my mother's jaw tightened. The way my father's breathing changed, shallow, controlled. The way Lauren's smile stayed in place even when no one smiled back. And the way Grandma sat perfectly still. Not frozen. Not shocked. Still. Like she'd been waiting for this moment, and now it was finally here. I didn't cry. I didn't yell. I didn't do what I wanted to do, which was stand up and walk out and never come back. Because here's what I learned when I was 6 years old and standing in a social worker's office with a purple backpack. Speaking doesn't change anything. Reacting doesn't change anything. The people who decide your worth have already decided. So I stayed silent. And I waited for the meal to end. Have you ever been embarrassed in a room that should have protected you? I was adopted when I was 6. My parents don't talk about it much. Neither do I. It's just a fact, the way some people have brown eyes or live in New Jersey. But Lauren talked about it. Not all the time. Not in front of other people, usually. Just in small moments. Little reminders that she was born into this family and I was brought into it. When we were kids, she used to tell people I was lucky. "Mom and Dad chose you," she'd say, smiling. They were stuck with me. Everyone thought it was sweet. I learned early that I was supposed to be the proof that everything worked out. That adoption was beautiful. That love was enough. And it was enough most of the time. But there were other times. Times when I heard my mother on the phone with her sister saying, "Well, at least she's easy." We got lucky with her temperament. Times when report cards came home and my B's were celebrated while Lauren's C's were explained away. She's creative. School doesn't measure creativity. Times when I asked for things, dance lessons, a class trip, new sneakers, and heard, "We'll see," which always meant no. Lauren asked for things and got them. Not because my parents loved her more. Because they felt like they owed her more. She was the one they almost lost. The miracle baby who survived a complicated pregnancy. The daughter who made them parents in the first place. I was the one who made them feel like good people. There's a difference. I learned not to take up space. Not to ask too many questions. Not to need too much. I learned that being wanted and being needed aren't the same thing. And I learned that some people are born into a family's story. Others are written in later, and the ink never quite matches. Stories like this happen quietly. If you recognize them early, you can stop them. Lauren got praised for showing up. I got praised for not causing problems. That was the difference no one ever said out loud. When Lauren came home for the holidays, my mother lit up. She'd start cooking days in advance. She'd rearrange the guest room. She'd ask what Lauren wanted to eat, what time she'd arrive, whether she needed anything picked up from the store. When I came home, my mother said, "Oh, good, you're here," and handed me a dish to carry to the table. It wasn't cruel. It wasn't intentional. It was just the way things were. Lauren was the event. I was the support staff. At family dinners, people asked Lauren about her life. Her job in marketing. Her apartment in Hoboken. The guy she was seeing. They asked me if I was still working at the same place. Still renting. Still single. Still the same. I didn't blame them. Lauren had a way of taking up space that made people want to give her more of it. She was loud and funny and magnetic. I was quiet and reliable and easy to forget. But Grandma noticed. She always noticed. When someone interrupted me mid-sentence, Grandma would say, "I don't think she was finished." When someone forgot to save me a seat, Grandma would make room next to her. When Lauren made a joke at my expense, and everyone laughed, Grandma didn't. She never said much. She didn't lecture or call people out. She just corrected the small things. The things other people didn't think mattered. But they did. Because those small things added up to a life where I was always a little less than. A little outside. A little conditional. Grandma was the only one who treated me like I wasn't. Like I didn't have to earn my place at the table. Like I'd always belonged. Grandma's house smelled like lemon wood polish and old books. She lived alone now. Had since Grandpa died 8 years ago. The house was too big for one person, but she refused to leave. "I know where everything is," she'd say. "Why would I start over now?" I visited her once a month. Sometimes more. We didn't do much. We'd sit in her kitchen and drink tea. She'd ask how work was going. I'd ask if she needed help with anything around the house. We never talked about Lauren. We never talked about my parents. We never talked about the feeling I carried everywhere. That I was performing a role instead of living a life. But Grandma knew. I could tell by the way she watched me. By the little things she did without explaining why. Like the time she gave me a key to her house and said, "In case you ever need somewhere quiet." Or the time she put my name on her bank account and said, "Just easier this way." Or the way she kept a folder in her desk drawer, locked, that she never let anyone look through. Once, when I was helping her organize papers, I asked about it. "Just old things," she said. "Nothing important yet." Yet. Not nothing important. Nothing important yet. I didn't push. Grandma didn't like being pushed. But I started noticing things. The way she'd pause before answering certain questions. The way she'd change the subject when my mother brought up family history. The way she insisted I come to every holiday, every birthday, every gathering, even when I wanted to skip. "I need you there," she'd say. Not want. Need. Grandma didn't protect people with words. She protected them with timing. If you think this ends at the dinner table, don't blink. Christmas morning started the way it always did. My mother made too much food. My father set up extra chairs in the dining room. Lauren arrived late with a bottle of wine and a story about traffic. But something felt different. The air felt thicker. The conversations felt louder. Everyone seemed like they were performing a version of themselves instead of just being themselves. Or maybe I was just paying more attention. Grandma arrived early. She always did. She brought a tray of her butter cookies and a small red gift bag I didn't recognize. She placed it under the tree without saying anything. I noticed because Grandma usually brought wrapped presents. Neat corners. Careful bows. This bag looked hurried. Like she'd packed it that morning. Lauren noticed too. "What's that, Grandma?" she asked, smiling. "Something special?" Grandma just smiled back. "We'll see." Dinner started at 4. The table was crowded. Parents, aunts, uncles, cousins, Lauren's boyfriend. Plates passed in every direction. Voices overlapped. Someone told a joke I didn't hear the punchline to. I sat between Grandma and Aunt Monica. Lauren sat across from me. She was drinking more than usual. Not drunk, just loose. Relaxed. The kind of relaxed that made her say things she normally kept to herself. Halfway through the meal, she started talking about family traditions. "I love that we all still do this," she said, gesturing around the table. "I mean, how many families actually stay close, you know? It's rare." People nodded. Agreed. Lauren leaned back in her chair. "It's because we're solid. We're real. We don't just, I don't know, collect people." She laughed. No one else did. I kept my eyes on my plate. I cut my ham into smaller pieces, even though I wasn't hungry anymore. That's when she reached for her wine glass and clinked it with her fork. Sharp. Intentional. The room went quiet. Grandma's hand stilled on her napkin. And I knew, before Lauren even opened her mouth, that whatever came next wasn't going to be a toast. It was going to be a test. And I was about to find out who would pass it. Lauren's voice cut through the silence like glass breaking. "I just want to say something I've been holding in for years. It's Christmas, right? Time for honesty." She was looking at me. Only at me. "I think it's funny how some people sit at this table pretending they're real family, when they're not." My mother whispered her name. A warning. A plea. Lauren kept going. "I mean, come on. Blood is blood. Some people were just added later." The room didn't breathe. My uncle's fork hovered in midair. My cousin's boyfriend suddenly found his phone very interesting. My father cut into his ham with surgical precision, like if he focused hard enough, he could pretend this wasn't happening. No one said, "That's not true." No one said, "Don't talk to her like that." No one said anything. Lauren shrugged and sat back down. She picked up her wine glass, took a sip, smiled, like she'd just made a joke instead of an execution. I felt 12 years old again, standing in a hallway with a social worker who smelled like coffee and kept calling me sweetheart, in a voice that meant I wasn't anyone's sweetheart yet. I didn't move. I didn't speak. Because I'd learned a long time ago that defending yourself just makes people uncomfortable. And when people are uncomfortable, they don't defend you either. They defend their comfort. That's when Grandma Eleanor pushed her chair back. It wasn't a dramatic movement. Grandma didn't do drama. But everyone noticed. Because Grandma didn't stand easily anymore. Her knees were bad. Her back hurt most days. Standing cost her something. So when she stood, people paid attention. The room went quiet in a different way now. Not the silence of shock, but the silence of respect. Grandma walked slowly across the room. Each step deliberate. Measured. She stopped in front of me. In her hands was the small red gift bag from under the tree. She placed it gently on the table in front of me. Her hand rested on my shoulder, warm, steady. "This," she said, her voice calm but sharp as a scalpel, "was always meant for you." Lauren's smile flickered. Grandma turned and looked at her. Really looked at her. "And you," she continued, "have no idea what you just revealed about yourself." Lauren laughed. Nervous now. "Grandma, it was a joke. I didn't mean." "Yes, you did." 2 words. No anger. No raised voice. Just certainty. Grandma gestured to the bag. "Open it." My hands were shaking. I could feel everyone watching. Waiting. I reached into the bag and pulled out a manila envelope. Thick. Official looking. The kind with a clasp instead of a seal. And underneath it a key. Small. Brass. Attached to a tag with a number I didn't recognize. "Open the envelope," Grandma said. I did. Inside were papers. Old ones. Yellowed at the edges. Some typewritten, some handwritten. Court documents. Adoption records. Birth certificates. I started reading. Then stopped. Then read again slower, because the names didn't make sense. The names didn't match. My heart started pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. "What is this?" I whispered. Grandma turned back to Lauren. "You always believed you were the miracle child," she said. "The one who belonged." Lauren's smile was gone now. Her face had gone pale. "You weren't. Most people miss the moment power shifts. Stay with me." The room exploded. Gasps. Questions. My mother stood up, her hand over her mouth. My father just stared, frozen. "What are you talking about?" Lauren's voice cracked. That's not. You were born during the hardest year of your parents' lives, Grandma said. Her voice was steady, calm, like she was reading a grocery list instead of dismantling someone's entire identity. They weren't ready. They weren't stable. They had nothing. Lauren shook her head. No, that's not true. I would have known. They gave you up, Grandma continued. For adoption. They signed the papers. They walked away. My mother started crying. My father sat like a statue. And when they finally got back on their feet 2 years later, Grandma said, placing her hand back on my shoulder, they adopted a child who needed them. She looked down at me. That child was already family long before you ever knew it. I couldn't breathe. Couldn't think. Lauren stood up so fast her chair tipped backward. That's not true, she shouted. You're lying. Someone tell her she's lying. No one did. Grandma reached across the table and slid one more paper toward Lauren. Read it, she said quietly. Lauren grabbed it with shaking hands. She read. Then she dropped it like it burned. It was a birth certificate. Mine. But that wasn't what made her drop it. It was the name under mother. Catherine Eleanor Hartwell. My parents' daughter. The one who disappeared in the 90s. The one nobody talked about except in past tense. She was my mother. My biological mother. Which meant my parents weren't my adoptive parents. They were my grandparents. I looked up at them. My dad had his head in his hands. My mom was crying into a napkin. The room tilted. Someone, Aunt Monica maybe, said, "Oh my God." Grandma sat down slowly in the chair next to me. She folded her hands on the table. Catherine got pregnant when she was 19, Grandma said. She wasn't ready. She was scared. She left before anyone knew. We spent years looking for her. My mother, my grandmother, said through tears. We never stopped looking. Grandma nodded. When I finally found her 3 years later, she was gone. Overdose. But you. She looked at me. You were in foster care. Bouncing between homes. No one knew who you belonged to because Catherine never listed a father. Never listed family. My throat was so tight I couldn't swallow. It took me 2 more years to prove it. To get the DNA tests. To navigate the system. And when I finally did, she turned to my parents. Your parents agreed to adopt you. To bring you home. But they asked me not to tell you the truth until you were older. They thought it would be easier. Less complicated. I picked up the second document. A revised adoption decree. It showed my parents, my grandparents, legally adopting me. Bringing me back into the family I'd been born into. I wasn't adopted into this family. I was returned to it. This was always my family. I'd always been blood. Lauren was the one who'd been brought in from outside. And she'd spent her whole life making me feel like I was the outsider. The irony was so sharp it cut. Lauren sat back down. She didn't speak. Didn't move. Just stared at the center of the table like she could disappear into it. My dad finally spoke. His voice sounded hollowed out. We should have told you, he said. To Lauren. To me. To everyone. Both of you. We should have. Yes, Grandma said. You should have. My mom sobbed harder. Uncle David cleared his throat. Maybe we should all just take a breath. Process this. Process what? Lauren said suddenly. Her voice was sharp again. Angry. Process that my entire life is a lie. That I'm not even. She stopped. Swallowed. Not even what? Grandma asked gently. Not even theirs, Lauren finished. You are theirs, Grandma said. They chose you. They fought to get you back. That's more than most people get. Lauren laughed, a bitter, broken sound. But she pointed at me, he's actually blood. He's actually family, Grandma said. Yes. So are you. In every way that matters. But Lauren wasn't listening. She was spiraling. I could see it in her eyes. The house, she said suddenly. Your house. You always said I'd inherit it. You said. No, Grandma said quietly. I never said that. Lauren blinked. Yes, you did. You told me. I told you we'd talk about it when the time came, Grandma corrected. And now the time has come. She reached into her purse and pulled out a folded document. She placed it on the table. The house was deeded to him 3 years ago. The room went still again. Lauren stared at the paper. What? The house belongs to him, Grandma repeated. It has for 3 years. along with the property on Ridgewood Avenue and the account at Investors Bank. I couldn't process the words. They didn't make sense. Why? I whispered. Grandma looked at me. Her eyes were soft but firm. Because you're Catherine's son, and everything I have was always meant to go to her. When she died, it became yours. Lauren stood up so fast the table shook. That's not fair, she shouted. I've been here. I've been the one calling you, visiting you, taking care of. You visited twice last year, Grandma said calmly. He came every month. Lauren's face crumbled. You sent Christmas cards, Grandma continued. He brought groceries. You remembered my birthday. He remembered my doctor's appointments. Because you never asked me to. Lauren cried. I never asked him either, Grandma said. He just did it. The truth of that hung in the air. Lauren looked around the room like she was searching for someone to defend her. To say Grandma was being unfair. To fix this. No one did. Because Grandma wasn't being unfair. She was being honest. And honesty, after years of silence, felt like cruelty. Lauren grabbed her coat. Her purse. I can't, she said, voice breaking. I can't do this. She looked at me one last time. Her eyes were red, wet, full of something I couldn't name. Betrayal, maybe. Or loss. I hope it's worth it, she said. Then she left. The door slammed behind her. No one followed. If you've ever trusted the wrong narrative, you know what happens next. The room erupted the moment Lauren left. My mom stood up, reaching for her phone. I should go after her. I should. Let her go, Grandma said. But she's upset. She's embarrassed, Grandma corrected. There's a difference. My dad rubbed his face. This is a mess. This whole thing was always going to happen, Grandma finished. You just delayed it. Uncle David started asking questions. Aunt Monica started defending my parents. Cousins whispered to each other. Someone said we should have done this privately. Someone else said it was nobody's business. The noise built and built. And I sat in the middle of it, perfectly still. I didn't defend myself. I didn't explain. I didn't try to make anyone feel better about what just happened. Because I'd learned something in that moment. I'd spent my entire life trying to make other people comfortable with my existence. Being quiet so I didn't take up too much space. Being helpful so I earned my place. Being easy so no one regretted choosing me. But I was never chosen. I was always family. I just didn't know it. And Lauren, who spent years making me feel like I didn't belong, was the one who'd been grafted in. The irony was so sharp it almost made me laugh. Almost. Grandma reached over and squeezed my hand. You okay? She asked quietly. I nodded. I was. Not happy. Not vindicated. Not even relieved. Just okay. My mom was still crying. My dad was staring at the papers on the table like they might rearrange themselves into something easier to accept. We're sorry, my mom said, looking at me. We're so sorry. We should have told you. We should have. It's okay, I said. And I meant it. Because I understood now. They were scared. They were trying to protect everyone. They were doing the best they could with an impossible situation. They just forgot that silence doesn't protect people. It isolates them. We can fix this, my dad said. We can talk to Lauren. We can figure this out. There's nothing to fix, I said. My mom blinked. But she said what she's been thinking for years, I finished. And now everyone knows. Grandma smiled. Just a little. Because that was the point. Lauren didn't lose tonight because Grandma exposed her. She lost because she exposed herself. And the truth, the real truth, just happened to be waiting when she did. I stood up. I think I'm going to go, I said. My mom stood too. Wait, please. Can we just? I'll call you tomorrow, I said. She nodded, tears still streaming. I picked up the key, the envelope, the papers. Grandma walked me to the door. You did good, she said quietly. I didn't do anything, I said. Exactly. She hugged me. A long, firm hug that felt like an ending and a beginning at the same time. Don't open the box tonight, she said. I won't. And don't let this make you bitter. I looked at her. I'm not bitter. Good, she said. Bitterness is just pain that didn't know where to go. You've got somewhere to go now. Where? She smiled. Forward. I left. The night air was cold. Sharp. Behind me I could still hear voices. Arguments. Explanations. But they felt far away now. like they belonged to someone else's story. I didn't open the safety deposit box that night, or the next day, or the next week. The key sat on my dresser. I looked at it every morning, every night, but I didn't use it, because I realized something. I'd spent my whole life looking for proof that I belonged, proof that I was wanted, proof that I was enough. And now I had it. Documents, DNA, property deeds, evidence that I was family in every legal, biological, technical sense. But none of that was why I belonged. I belonged because Grandma made space for me, because I showed up, because I chose this family as much as they chose me. Lauren had all the same proof I did: adoption papers, a place at the table, parents who fought to bring her home. But she never believed it was enough. So she spent her life trying to make me feel smaller, so she could feel bigger. And in the end, she made herself smaller instead. I called her 2 weeks later. She didn't answer. I didn't expect her to. I left a message. I'm sorry this happened the way it did. I'm sorry you found out like that. And I'm sorry if you feel like you lost something. I paused. But you didn't lose me. You never had me to lose. I hung up. I don't know if she listened to it. I don't know if it mattered. 3 months later, I went to the bank. I opened the safety deposit box. Inside were letters from my mother, my biological mother, Catherine. Photos of her holding me as a baby. Notes she'd written to Grandma asking her to find me, to protect me, to make sure I knew I was loved even if she couldn't be there to love me herself. There was also a letter from Grandma. It was dated 5 years ago. In it, she explained everything. Why she waited, why she kept the secret, why she gave me the house and the property. The last line said, "Some truths don't fix the past. They stop it from repeating. I waited because you needed to be strong enough to carry this. Now you are." I cried. Not because I was sad. Because I was free. Free from the question I'd carried my whole life. Do I really belong here? The answer was yes. It had always been yes. I just needed everyone else to stop pretending it wasn't. I still see my parents. We're working through it. It's slow. It's messy. But it's honest now. Lauren and I don't speak. Maybe we will someday. Maybe we won't. Either way, I'm not waiting for her to decide I'm worth knowing. Because Grandma already did. And that was enough. Some truths don't fix the past. They stop it from repeating. Would you have opened the box that night, or walked away?